Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Jane Shewring. I'm the Programme Director at StreetGames for Fit and Fed. Welcome to you all, and thanks for taking the time to join this morning. This session, which is until quarter to 12, is basically just to try and give you a little bit of some of the fundamentals and some of the learning that we've got around Fit and Fed and some of the work that we've been involved in across the country. I'm joined by my colleague, John Downs, who has played a huge part in the delivery of HAF programmes, and in particular, John is going to talk about some of the learnings and how we link Fit and Fed to our doorstep sport programme that we do for StreetGames, that we have at StreetGames. So Fit and Fed is an innovative programme, and it was set up in 2016 to counter the triple inequalities of holiday hunger, inactivity and social isolation, particularly for working in the most deprived or underserved communities across the country, which is a real focus of the work that StreetGames do, is supporting those children and young people through income deprivation, have less opportunities to access sport and physical activity. For those that you were able to join the plenary session this morning, you'll have heard some fantastic speakers, but also quite sobering statistics about some of the issues that we're facing and the children, young people and their families facing across the country. So 47% of children living in lone parent families are in poverty. Lone parents face a higher risk of poverty due to additional earner and low rates of payments, gender inequality, employment pay, childcare costs. Children from Black and minority ethnic groups are more likely to be in poverty, with 4 to 6% of children and young people, compared with 26% of children in white British families. But also one of the big points that was being brought up this morning is that work doesn't provide a guaranteed route out of poverty, and the 75% of children and young people live in a household where at least one person is at work. So out of that, there's 4.3 million children in the UK that currently live in poverty. I mean, that suggests a significant amount of our children and young people that are faced with issues and the inequalities around income deprivation, and fewer than a quarter of those meet any guidelines, national guidelines for recommended daily activity, which is 60 minutes a day. Young people are from the lowest economic brackets are more likely to suffer from mental illness. The UK's poorest children live on average 3.6 to 5 years fewer than their more affluent counterparts. And these same children spend an additional 16.5 years in poor health. So it is, really a huge issue to support. So now we know what the issue, what can we do about it collectively? So, as I said, Fit and Fed is a campaign that was set up by StreetGames when we realised the issues around holiday hunger, inactivity and social isolation. For those children on free meals or in income deprivation, their access to food in the holiday times is so much less. And inactivity and social isolation, which I'll go into a little bit more. When we talk about holiday hunger, 14% of parents and 10% of children experience food insecurity, and that's due to 32% of families have lost income as a result of COVID. So we know these are increased pressures of COVID, and there has been a significant increase of 17.3% of children in 12 months who are now eligible for free school meals. But I think it's important to understand that not everybody who lives in poverty is eligible for free school meals. In fact, there's 2 out of every 5 children who live in poverty aren't eligible. So this is still a huge amount of children and young people that can't access the programme. In terms of inactivity, with only £3.21 to spend per week per family on sport and physical activity compared to a national average of £12, children living in our underserved communities have far less access to sport and physical activity. And as I say, we'll talk a little bit more about our doorstep sport and what that means and how we can use that to support these children and young people in the holiday times. In terms of isolation, again, 27% of children receiving free school meals reported often being lonelier, and 4 times more likely to often be lonely than those not in free school meals. So again, the isolation and the last 12 months have really impacted on this in terms of the ability for children and young people to have that social interaction with their peers, and then that will be reduced again once the children finish school for the summer holidays. For many children, it's a great time. They're breaking up from school because they have a whole wealth of opportunities. For those children that are living in poverty, that's not always the case. And this is why it's so important with the work that we can do to support in the holiday times. Fit and Fed also has a number of secondary outcomes, including community cohesion, when we work through a lot of our community organisations and real trusted people in the community, and they do just an amazing job, and many of them are yourselves who are on this call today, who do an amazing job in the community, bringing people together to provide just some wonderful activities for children and young people. It helps raise the self-efficacy of young people. For many of them, this is the first time that they're able to back to school after summer holidays and talk about what they've done, to share examples of the amazing time that they've had, the activities that they've been able to take part in, the new friends that they've been able to meet. And that's hugely important for some of these children that go back after the holidays, and lots of other people are sharing photographs and stories, and particularly with social media around their holidays. What this does, it provides that fantastic opportunity to raise the self-efficacy of these young people. Community safety as well. If there are safe places, safe provision for these children and young people to take part in during the holidays, that's affordable, that's in their local communities, that often means that it can support in reducing antisocial behaviour as a result of lack of opportunities. So again, not only does it support the key principles of this campaign, that there is these and many more secondary activities. You've heard about PATH, hopefully many of you, and also that we've spoken on this morning session, if you're able to be part of that, but also the Holiday Activities Fund and Food Programme, which is being by via the Department for Education. What we try to do with Fit and Fed is have it as an all year round programme. At the moment, there's a huge injection of funding through HAF, which supports 6 weeks of the school holidays. We understand, we need to understand this 13 weeks of the school holiday, the half-term holidays, the additional time in the summer, and Easter that's not covered by that programme, which really makes a difference to these children and young people. This is not just about the main holidays, it's about an all year round programme in the school holidays. As I said before, 2 out of 5 children who are eligible for, who are living in poverty are not eligible for free school meals. And Fit and Fed, we try to target all the children from the underserved communities and those who are facing income deprivation. In need to support the delivery of the voluntary and community sector. We know what amazing work you do in the communities. As I've said before, you are trusted organisations, trusted people who have that relationship with the children and young people, and really can deliver some fantastic opportunities. And our work at Street Games is supporting you to help you deliver these types of programmes across the year. We're also very keen to develop a future workforce, having young people at the heart of our delivery and including the training of young people, and that again is really important to us. I'm now going to on to John Downs, who, as I said, is part of the Street Games team, has done a huge work, a lot of work around the HAF programme. John, if I can introduce you, and we can talk about the 5 rights of doorstep sport and some examples of support.
Yeah, thanks, Jane, and hello, everybody. Yeah, I think when we're looking at I suppose the way that Fit and Fed is delivered, or when you look at holiday programs, it's interesting what was said, if any of you joined the plenary this morning, from all of the speakers, you know, and Greta's research about kind of embedded community organisations that deliver activities. And so many of the organisations who might be on the call, those that we've worked with for a number of years, are those, you know, we call them locally trusted organisations based in the local community. And what we kind of looked at was, well, what is the approach for Fit and Fed? And essentially, as we started to look back, it was what doorstep sport is. It's a kind of key method of delivery around community sport, community activity, with food. But there's some nuances to that when you think about the holiday program around, you know, if you're delivering an evening community program, there's one approach. When you're delivering a holiday program, there's a different approach. And you've got to think through those 6 rights, if we look at it that way, and we talk about the food element of it, and how they apply to a holiday program that is active for young people. It reduces the inactivity, reduces the isolation, and also, you know, provides them with food, and also meets, you know, if you're doing HAF, or if you're doing programs in Wales, some of the kind of funding requirements around enrichment and other activities. And we'll talk through those, you know, and some of them are fairly straightforward. When we think about the right place, it often, your mind can be drawn into, well, we need a place with a kitchen, we need a place with food facilities, and that's obviously a huge part of the consideration. But you still need to consider, you know, the engagement of the families. Is it the right venue for those families? It's somewhere that they are comfortable going. Quite often we see through holiday programs, a lot of people saying, well, we're going to use a school because a school has got the space and it's got a kitchen, if you can have access to it. But you've got to question yourself, well, do some young people want to go back to school through the holidays, depending upon the age range that you're working on? So if you're talking about primary school age children, our experience shows that yes, some are quite happy to go back on a school site, but actually secondary age children are not so keen. So you might think, well, the school's the right place. You've got to put this in the eye of the person who's attending. Is the school the right place to do it, or is it actually where young people are? You know, in terms of, you know, in the summer parks and open spaces for older young people, those in the 12 to 16 age range. And therefore, how do you provide that provision? Is it local community facilities? You know, have you got facilities that meet potentially at the moment the COVID requirements, and how you deliver during this kind of COVID period, that you need venues that are COVID secure, and therefore actually outdoor venues become more in your favour, but there is an increasing challenge around the food. The other thing is about the location, and just because you've got a nice venue with a kitchen, is it the right place? The data we've seen from holiday programs is families are travelling on average less than a mile to get to something. So it is based within the local community. So creativity is needed, and hence how you're creative about the food needs to be in consideration. You could have all the facilities in the world, but if nobody's going to turn up to it, then you've got to question whether that's the right facility. So it does need careful consideration about the place, in terms of not necessarily jumping to what will provide you with the ability to make the food. It's still based around what's going to maximise engagement. And that's also the consideration around time, that the time of day is something to be considered. Now, what we've seen from holiday programs through the day is a lot of people jump to a kind of, will run 10 till 2, 10 till 3 during the core hours of the day, because that does suit a kind of childcare need for people to work, and that is absolutely right. And that will work for a younger age range. Drop them off in the morning, maybe even earlier. Some start at 8:30, have breakfast, do activities through the day, and that is absolutely the right thing to do. The main consideration around time is usually the older age range, you know, and through the school holiday periods is, does a 13-year-old want to do something between 10 and 2 in the daytime? And our experience is not. it's more about evening provision. So your provision still can be later in the day. Why can't you do something from 4 till 8, from 4 till 9, and you provide an evening meal for those young people that's more in tune with their kind of daily routine. Again, it's about working with the groups and trying to engage. We've seen some projects start later in the day and through the summer bring the day earlier to do trips and days out with the young people to get them into the habit of waking up early in the morning. So you've got to work again around the group, and there's examples through that at the time base that a lot of youth organisations do, detached based youth work, do things on evenings and weekends that make it easier to engage those young people, do them on parks and open spaces. When you think about the place, they are working with the local community safety teams and police forces going, we know that's where large groups of young people tend to congregate, hang out, so we'll go and provide some provision there and engage those in a detached based model in the evenings. But some will still do centre-based delivery in evenings. You know, one of the interesting examples around time was we did something in Newcastle with Newcastle United Football Club and their Kicks programme was extend that through the summer. So run it from 5 till 9, and therefore they would have a break in the middle of the evening for when they would have some food delivered for the young people to have their tea, and groups would come. And it was the place they already knew. It was the local park, it was the local multi-use games area, the local 3G pitch, and they came at a time that was going to engage them, and they extended that provision to meet that time. So again, we have to work the time around those people. The style, and interesting when it comes back to what was said this morning and what people are trying to deliver and engage, is the style of the delivery then becomes really critical, because this is about the summer holidays and fun, and sometimes we can think about school readiness as we're thinking about getting ready for school and things, and actually this is meant to be about, you know, fun activities over the summer, activities that provide food, a place to meet your mates, a place to socialize, a place to maybe try some new things. So the style of the delivery becomes really critical about what type of activities are on, what's the feeling like when you get there. You know, for some age range, is it a drop in and out so you don't have to be there all day, but it's more of an open access provision? You know, do you have trips on board? Do you try new activities that those young people would never be able to afford to do, that their peers through the summer may be able to do? You know, arts and crafts, cultural activities. It's thinking about a broad range of activities that will keep young people engaged and keep young people coming back again and again. So if you have one type of activity and run the same thing over those, you know, over the 4, 5, 6 weeks you run over the summer, is that going to keep young people engaged and keep them coming back? Or is variety is changing things up? One of the things we talk about with doorstep sport as a principle is being led by those young people. So actually speaking with young people, engaging with them, giving them freedom to choose choice of activities, so it isn't so regimented. There's some of the great sessions I've seen that you turn up to a centre and there's loads of things going on through the day, and young people can float between 3 or 4 different activities. So actually, if a young person wants to pick to do arts and crafts for 4 hours through the day, they can choose to do that. Now, granted, we want to encourage them to do sport, physical activity, but we need to think about what's going to get them through the door of that centre or that facility, and then work with them from that point and try and engage them. So, you know, the physical activity element can be very varied. You know, some will want to do sports, some will want to turn up to a kicks program, play football all night. Some will want to do particular sports, but at a younger age range, it's play games. You know, it's dodgeball and it's water fights in the hot days in the summer. It's running around on a playground or an outdoor space. It's going for a walk in a local country park. I suppose critically about the style, variety is really critical to maximise that engagement and reduce that isolation and keep people active through the summer. And that then links into the people about who then is involved in delivering your programme. And this, through the summer programmes, we've seen a huge range of partnerships where people have worked collectively with, you know, used a school has offered their site, but a partner has come on site and deliver an arts-based organisation, the local football club or a community organisation that has got the skills. That also links into the people, into the food element. Work in partnership, build upon the skills, identify the people who may have those skills to work with you to provide that variety, and, you know, and provide the different types of activities. So thinking about who is in the local community that you can work with and bring in. Maybe you have a core offer that is, your centre is open, but are there local organisations that can come and offer different activities or provide different things to do? Because that would just increase the chance of having a more varied offer. When we think about price, and it's been talked about, we obviously want this provision to be free, you know, and what a lot of the funding programs talk about, this being free for people to access because of the cost of childcare, and this can be seen as a really good offer of childcare for those who need to work. When I think about price in the holiday programs, I think about the ability to offer things that young people wouldn't normally afford to do. You know, sometimes that some of those extra trips, you know, may need fundraising for, may need potential small contributions, but that for me is something that would have to be carefully considered. But we want to link to the style is try and think about offering young people activities where they can go on trips, and those don't have to be expensive trips, you know. And it's an example for where I'm based up in the northeast and the work in Newcastle. A quite affordable day trip out is to the beach, and for some kids in parts of the northeast who live not that far from the coast, don't go to the beach in the day out. So actually, it's a relatively inexpensive trip to take a group of kids to the beach, and there's some help can be brought at that. There are providers who can help with that. You know, there are lots of country parks and open spaces that can be seen as day trips out where you can go on a picnic. So trying to do some things that create variety, but if you do get the chance to provide some of those trips and working with partners, some of the things that young people wouldn't normally afford to do, does add a huge element to that experience over the summer. And the final bit on this is about the right food. And, you know, it was covered a lot this morning about the importance of the food and the nutrition. It does need careful consideration about who you work with and what food can be provided, and also the style of the food and the way it's delivered. You know, school meal service is a great use and it can be provided, but as Greta says, getting young people a chance to touch and feel and taste and try lots of different things. It's more than just the meal. It's about the experience of the food. So is there a chance to cook some of the food? Is there a chance to try different things? Is it a kind of real communal atmosphere in the middle of the day where you have lunch and sit around and chat, as opposed to just handing out, you know, a pre-packed bag of lunch? Now that is a good to offer that. I'm not saying don't do that. I'm saying that should be the bottom, and we should aim for higher and aim for, if you can provide, we want to provide a meal, great, but we want to provide more. We need to think about the food as more than just the meal, and actually the way that we provide the food, the way that it engages parents, and also the style of the food depending upon things like culture and ethnicities, and that, you know, working with different partner organisations may provide food in a style that may be more suited to the age range and the culture and the diversity of the groups that you're working with, to make it a part of the day. Food should be seen as a part of the offer and a part of the whole process, not just the bit of the meal that we provide alongside the activities. The best programs have it as almost like an activity through the day. So, I mean, and what you can do, and I think, you know, really it's about trying to think about your holiday offer. And we've heard a lot about the holiday activity and food program. You know, in Wales, there are different funding programs. We just want to offer, we want to say to people, if you've not run holiday programs, please start to think about it. And that could be a day, a week, 2 weeks, or the whole 6 weeks. It's about what you currently do. Have you got the capacity to offer something, free programs through this holiday that can give people food, activities, and as James put there, a place for people to meet their friends, have some fun, you know. And that could be a weekend. We've seen projects do family fun days on weekends. Some do the first week of the summer. Some do days, 1 day a week through the summer holidays. You know, the village I live in offers stuff 1 day a week in the middle of the week for activity days for kids. It becomes the focal point. So think about trying to offer something and adapt what you do. Yeah, Jane, you can go to the next slide. And, you know, and you know, we'll leave these with you. We'll share the slides. There's some really interesting comments that have come from our reports about how these have really helped people over the summer. And we don't want to labour on this because it's been covered this morning in the plenary, but the impact can be huge through that and create real strong relationships with those young people and real good memories through the summer that means to an improved kind of place for the young people. And given where we are, And the fact is, we're coming out of, we're slowly moving into a situation where there's more activities. We need to think about the chance to give young people more time to get out and play and be with their friends and socialise with things, because yes, they've had it in school, but it's probably been quite a high pressured environment. This is a more relaxed environment, say, just come and have some fun with your friends through the summer. And we've got some links there, some YouTube videos. The StreetGames website is full of different reports as well, and that you can pick up and read on some of the different holiday programs, some of the Fit and Fed. But those 2 links have got videos about some of the holiday programs. And ultimately, we want to work in partnership with a whole range of people, local, regional, national organisations. There's so much need out there in that holiday period, and it's about us all doing as much as we can, little bits and large bits, to say, can we offer as many Fit and Fed sessions in all school holidays? As we've covered, that the pressure is greater in the summer holidays, but it's needed in other holiday periods when a week is still a long period of time, and it can provide a real safe haven for some young people to have places to go in that week. So if you're interested, talk to us, and it's about us working together to see and make as much possible in school holidays for children and young people.
Thanks, John. I'm just wondering if there's a couple of minutes left. I'm just wondering if anybody has any questions that they want to pop in the chat that we can perhaps answer now. I say the purpose of this session is to give you just some of the basics around the Fit and Fed campaign, and some of the ideas potentially summer. What I would say is, if you're in England and you've not been linked with the HAF programme yet, some of the areas still have funding opportunities to deliver. That's by the local authorities. So I would recommend you having a look in your local authority area about HAF funding, because that's a great source of funding for this holiday period. I'm just looking in the chat. Can't see any. Oh, great. And Rachel, thanks, Rach, has just put some about Wales. If you want to find out more about the street games in Wales, about Fit and Fed in Wales, then drop a line to the Wales email address there. That's great, thank you. There's some other people are starting to put some things in the chat. Paula from Family Fit Yorkshire. Yeah, we can give you some contacts for our Yorkshire and Humberside session area directors, so that we can put you in contact there. But I think, as John said, it's really about partnering up, really thinking about the children and young people, and to, as we talk about, so the 5 rights and well, the 6th one with food. We are going to, sorry, Matt, thank you. You've just put October half terms, how would organisations apply for further funding? We have a session on, well, there's 2 more sessions during this week. One is on funding, which is on Wednesday, and we'll be hearing from one of the funders of Fit and Fed, and examples of how to apply for funding. That's also followed by a fundraising plan session with our sustainability leads, who will be running that session. So if you've got a chance, have a look at those. Also on Friday, we'll be launching our support programme for Fit and Fed for the next 12 months. So again, if you get a chance to drop in on Friday, that's a half an hour session, again, just giving you sort of some of the key information about what we're going to be doing to try and support local organisations to deliver in the half-term holidays. Firstly, thanks for joining the session. I hope it's been useful in giving you some of the basics, the fundamentals around Fit and Fed and what we do as a campaign with Street Games. Just one final, oh no, on there is a session which will a link that we'll send out as well, which will refer you to a resource pack, which will provide support information to you as an organisation. Again, links to food, links to activities. So hopefully that can help you as well. But thanks very much for taking the time to come to this session today, and please do get in contact if we can help you further.